This is TGO Tech Made Easy. Welcome to the channel. My channel is all about making things easy, practical, and affordable. So today we're going to be talking about the easiest way to do file sharing in Windows 10. Now, several weeks ago, depending on when you watch this, I created this server and I showed how to do this server, parts and everything, for $530. It's a 20 terabyte server. But when I, because of the length of this video, when I went in, I wanted to show just a few things after the server was put together, and I did show file sharing in there, but because I didn't have very much time because of the length of the video, I went over it very quickly. So today I'm going to take a little bit more time to go over it, a little bit more lengthy, because there are a lot of things that I left out because of the amount of time that I had to talk about file sharing. So today we're going to give two examples of file sharing. For example, let's say you have a laptop and you have maybe an office or just a desktop computer somewhere in your house. I'm going to show how to share files between those two, the laptop and the desktop, and then what I'm also show is, say you have a server, on how to do that as well. So let's just go ahead, let's get into it. Let's just start file sharing.
Okay, so I'm just going to show you the easiest way to share files between two computers. So here is a desktop computer here. And what I'm going to be doing is, I mentioned that server that was next to me. Well, that server next to me, I'm actually accessing it through what's called remote desktop. If you don't know what remote desktop is, I'll put a link down below that I have a video that goes extensively over remote desktop, how to set it up. It's a great tool though, and I go over two different ones. One's the Microsoft Remote Desktop, and the other one is because you have to have Windows 10 in order to use Microsoft's Remote Desktop, and then there's another one that you can use where you don't need Windows Remote Desktop. But at any rate, here's the desktop of the server that I was sitting next to, and then here's another machine. This is one of my testing machines right here. What I'm going to do though is I'm going to show you this one section on both systems, because Windows 10 sometimes changes things just a teeny bit. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make sure that you're on a private network. Now I'm already on a private network, but if this says public network, then what you want to do here is you want to go to change connection properties, and you want to put it on a private network. The file sharing we're going to do is limited on the public network. Plus, a private network is anything like your home or your office, and so you really want it on a private network. You don't really want it to be on a public network, because then that exposes your computer. That exposes your computers more to the outside world. So you just want to make sure this is on a private network, and that's all you have to do to change that. Now, the reason why I want to show you on this one is running a little bit different Windows version of 10, and so it displays that a little different. So we'll go back to network and internet again here in the settings, and again I'm on a private network, but see how it says properties here. It was just a line here, so we're going to go to properties, and it'll give us that same option here. So it's just a little bit different between the two different versions of Windows, and so I just wanted to show you that real quick. So now let's just go ahead and I'm going to close this again. Now let's just start. Let's just go to start here. Let's go to settings, and it's real easy. This is a real easy way to share files between one computer, multiple computers. Now what I am going to do is I'm going to show two different ways here, because I've kind of dedicated this server, even though it's Windows 10, as a server. So really no one's going to be using this as a desktop. We're just going to be using it to save files. But not everybody has a server in their home. They might be just sharing. You might have a desktop computer, and then you might have a laptop where you want to access some of your files on your computer when you're at home. So we're going to set up shares on both of these computers to share files between the two. So what we're going to do here on this one is we're going to go to network. We're going to go to network here, and then we're going to go down to network sharing, and then we're going to go to advanced sharing settings. Now in this section here, there are three sections. We are not going to do anything with guests or public. but we are going to use the private and all networks. So what you need to do here is you need to click on this, and then you need to turn on network discovery. It might be on already, but it might not. A lot of times if you haven't tried to share a file before or a folder, this is turned off. Then you also need to turn on file and printer sharing. Okay, and that's under the network discovery. Then you need to go down here to all networks and do the same thing. So we need to just turn on sharing so anyone can access and read and write. And then there is this 128-bit. As long as you're on a Windows 7 or 10, you don't need to change this. If you're on an older system of Windows, you may need to change this, but mostly everybody now is using 120-bit encryption. So usually you don't really have to mess with that. But one thing that you are going to do is that Windows has turn on password protection sharing. That is usually turned on. We're going to turn that off, and then you're just going to hit save changes. Now I've already done those, so I don't have to hit save changes. And then what we're going to do here is we want to go to home, because this is going to make sharing between your two computers much easier. What I would recommend that you do, we're going to go to About here. Now what Windows does, it names your device or your PC, it names this desktop, and then after desktop it's going to have a series of letters and numbers. Well, that's not very user friendly, and that's not something you will remember. So name your desktop computer or your other computer, say your laptop in this instance. Change both of those computer names to something that's relevant. Okay, so maybe you just want to change that to your name and then dash desktop, so that you know that that is your desktop computer. If you have a laptop, then change your computer name to your name and dash laptop, so you can tell the difference between the two and you don't have to remember Microsoft Desktop. The reason why we're doing this is if you don't do that and you don't remember that name, then you could use the IP address. But in this case, you don't want to use the IP address, because the IP address can change on your desktop and on your laptop every time you reboot the computer. So as long as you have the name, it'll always recognize the name. And so that's what I've done here. I'm using this computer as a server, so I just named it Z420 because it's actually a HP Z420-server. So that's how I make this convenient, and I know exactly what computer this is. And the way you do that, you go to rename this computer, and then you just put in the new name here, hit next, and it's renamed. Now what you do have to do when you rename the computer, you do have to reboot it. So that is the one thing you're going to have to do, is reboot your computer after you rename your computer. So now what we're going to do, so let's say that you do want access, or you want access to your documents on your desktop. Now I don't have any documents in here. Actually, let's just put one in here, and I'm just going to put this as a sample file. And the reason why I don't even have anything in here is because I set this. I did a video on how to create that file server for $530, and so this has really been for how to create that file server, hardware and everything, for $530. And so because it's a server, we created this storage space down here, and this is where I share all the files here. And we'll get into that later. But for right now, we're gonna share our documents folder here on our computer. And actually, what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to create another folder here. But so right now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go to Properties, and I'm going to go to Sharing, and then I'm going to go to Share. And what you need to do, everyone is not going to be in here. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to remove this because I already put it in there. So what you want to do here is you want to hit this down arrow, and you want to put everyone. and then you want to add that, and then what it's going to do, it's automatically going to give it read writes only. So you want read writes only, sorry, excuse me. But you want to put it as read and write. So click on read and write, then you'll be able to change the documents on this computer from, say, your laptop. So then what you're going to do here is you're going to want to hit share, and it's going to create this path here. And we'll get into that in just a minute. Now the username here is TMEZ, short for Tech Made Easy. So we're going to hit done here, and now we can close this, and now we've shared this folder. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go over to our other computer, which could be your laptop or maybe another desktop in your house. I'm just going to minimize this. Again, I'm using remote desktop to remote into that file server that I mentioned. Now we're on this computer here, and we need to do the same thing over here as we did on the other computer. Now we've already gone into network and internet here. We've already gone here and looked to make sure that this says private and not public. Again, if it says public, you're going to want to change this from public to private. So now what we can do here is we can go into here, change advanced sharing options. So we're going to go here, and again you're going to have these same options here that you did before: private, all networks. So you just do the same thing here. You're going to turn on network discovery, turn on automatic setup network, turn on file sharing, hit save changes. Then what you want to do here is you're going to want to go to all networks, turn on file sharing here as well. Again, we don't have to worry about this 128-bit, but you do want to turn off password protection sharing. And then hit save changes. So now we're ready to share a folder here. So we could share, if we want, we can have access to our laptop files from here, or again on the other computer we could have access to our desktop files here. So what we're going to do here is we're going to do the same thing that we did before, because we want to have access to documents on both folders. So all again we're going to do here is we're just going to go to properties, we're going to hit sharing, and this particular computer, it's got the username is Eric, and documents, this is the path here. So we're going to hit sharing here, and we're going to put in here anyone. We're going to add that here, and we're going to make this read and write, and we're going to say share. Okay, again, this is our path here. So now the first thing that we're going to do here is we are going to connect to the share on this server right here that we have open up in remote desktop. So we're going to minimize that because we want to set up the share here. So what we're going to do here is we can go down here. There's two different ways to do this. We can hit network, and here's that Z420 server, okay? Or you could go up into here, you could do a backsplash the Z, and it's going to show up here. Now if for some reason the server doesn't show up here, you're going to want to make sure that you didn't skip a step, or maybe didn't apply some changes that needed to be changed, because it should show up here. And so if you just click on that, now this net drive, we'll address that in a few minutes here. But your share is actually underneath this user here. So we're going to go to user, and here's our user right here, the Tech Made Easy user that we talked about, and here's our documents folder. And I can go in here, and now I can see the file that I've created on that server and this personal folder. But what we want to do here is we want to set this up as a network drive. So we're going to copy this. So you just click in here, it will give you the full path. And then what we want to do, and again there's multiple ways of doing what I'm doing here, but this is just one way of doing it. So what you're going to do here is you're just going to click on this PC, you're going to right mouse click on this, and you're going to say map network drive. And so it's going to pick a drive letter that's not being used. So the Z is already being, these are being used here. So, but you can choose any letter that you want to map to that folder. So for this demo purpose, let's just choose G. No specific reason. You can choose whichever one you want. And then what we can do here is we can just paste this in. Or we could have hit browse and wouldn't found it. But if you copied and pasted it, you could just paste that in and then hit finish. So now here we have a network drive G. Now this is kind of a long description here. So let's just rename this. You can rename this if you right mouse click on it. You can hit rename. And what I'm going to do here is, again, you can do this anything you want, but I'm just going to rename this because this is on my network server, but it's under the TechMade Easy user. So I'm just going to put here TechMade Easy, and I'm just using abbreviations for that. And so therefore I don't have as long of network drive description. So so that's all there is for me to have access to my documents folder on that other computer. Now let's say that I want to again do the same thing on the other computer because I want maybe I'm using this is my office desktop and the other computer is my laptop, and I want to be able to share files on both. Now one thing I didn't go into here is like I said, you're going to want to name your PC. So you go into systems here and go into about. Now I've already given this computer, I've already changed the name of this computer. Again, like I said, normally this will say desktop, it'll have a dash and it'll have some numbers. Again, not anything that's very memorable. So I named this is an HP Z420 workstation, where the other one that we're working on, this one I'm calling the server, it's also an HP Z420, but I called it server because it's a server. So so this is my desktop. This is my desktop's computer name here, this HP Z420-TG. Again, if you haven't renamed that, just hit rename like we did on the last one. Hit rename, put your name in, hit next, and you'll have to reboot your computer. So now let's go back to this other computer. So now we're on the server desktop, or again, this could be your laptop desktop. And what we want to do here is when we click on network down here, that server should show up, and you'll see it right here, HP Z420-TG. Now again, this is why you don't want to have to use, because you can do this, you could put in the IP address up here. But again, more than likely your desktop computer and your laptop aren't going to have static IPs, and so you don't want to, and it's just easier to put in the computer name and not the computer's IP address. So we can do the same thing up here though. So we can put -- we can put in Z, and in this case we can put it's an HP, and up shows my desktop computer that we were working on, and obviously it's down here as well. So I'll just click on it here though. Whoops, didn't mean to do that. And so underneath here I have user. My documents here are under Eric, and so now here's our complete path to that. And again, we're just going to copy this, and again, the computer we're accessing here is that other desktop computer. In fact, I'll just minimize this. It's this computer right here. So now what we're going to do is we're going to click on this PC again. We're going to right mouse click on here, and we're going to hit map network drive, and we're just going to paste in that path here. Now this one doesn't have any network drives assigned to it, so we can assign whatever we want, or we can make it the same letter as G. If you wanted a different drive letter than G, because maybe that's confusing, because the other one you can make it a different drive letter. That's up to you. So, but let's just make this one H, and we hit finish here, and then here's our new network connection, and now we have a file connection to this computer here. So again, we can change this to make this maybe a little bit more meaningful. We could rename this, and again, you know, the username is Eric here, and in this case I might just take some of these. I might just shorten this a little bit here. So okay, so we just made this a shorter name, just so we don't have such a long description of that network drive, but still kept it meaningful. So as you can see here, I don't have any files in here because this is really a gaming testing rig of mine, PC of mine, and so I haven't really put any documents in here because it's just a gaming testing rig. Let's copy the files. Let's copy the files on this desktop, which could be your laptop desktop. Maybe your laptop, you were working on some files, and now you want to put them on your desktop at home. So let's just open up another file manager. Let's put these side by side. Now what we're going to do here is we're going to go to our document section on the server here, or this could be your laptop. And what I want to do here is I want to copy these two files over to that desktop computer. So now I've copied these over. So now if we go back, I'm just going to close these. So now if we open this and we go to my documents on this gaming testing rig, remember we didn't have any documents in there at all. We can see now this sample file and the personal folder that we just copied over. So that's how easy it is to share your document folder. Now you can share any folder the way I just did. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a way to share another folder besides your document folder. But how I shared that document folder could also be how I could share my video folder, my pictures folder, any folder. I just did it on the documents. But now what we're going to do here is we're going to go back to this server here. Now because this is a server, I'm just going to close these real quick. Now the purpose of this computer is meant to save all of the files on here. So in our family, this is not my family server. This is one that I just showed on YouTube that I set up. But on my family's server, everybody saves their files to the server. Nobody saves any of their files to their desktop. And then we back up the server. So in this case, I'm just going to go here. And in this server, we have what's called storage spaces. We have 5 hard drives that we combined into one. And again, if you want to learn more about that, I'll have a link below that will link you to the video on how I created this file server. But what we're going to do here, so on our file server, we have this drive D. It's called, we could have named this anything we want. Storage spaces is what's called when you combine drives together. So that's actually a Microsoft name there, but I could have named that whatever I wanted. But what I did here is I created a net drive here, just as a sample, and I created a docs and a video file. But let's just go ahead and create another folder here, and this time I'm just going to call it, let's just say that this is our family server. So I'm just going to call this I'm just going to call this the family drive. Okay, and then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to click in here, and maybe we are going to create a folder called Mom. Let's create one called Dad. And to make this quick, let's just put, I actually have 4 kids, but we're just going to put a name in here. Actually, I'm going to create a kids folder. And now what I do, and this is what I do on my file server, then I'll create a file name for each kid. And so let's just say this kid's name is Mike. And we're not going to bother putting in any more in here. Let's just say this name is Joy. Okay, so now we have a dad folder, kids folder, and a mom's folder. So let's go ahead and set up a share for this drive. So we're going to go ahead, right mouse click on this, and then what we're going to do is we're going to go to properties, we're going to go to sharing, and we're going to say, okay, I'm going to share this. Now what we want to do here is we want to add everyone. Now let's hit add, share. Okay, I'm going to go back. Okay, the reason why I'm going back here is I kind of went through that too fast because I forgot to change this from read to read and write. Okay, so we're going to hit share again, and that'll change that. That'll give us read and write access to those folders. So now here we have a folder that we shared. So now let's go back to this desktop computer, and let's just say that this is my computer. Let's call this Dad's computer. So now what I'm going to do here is I can go down here, click on the Z420 file server. Here's going to be that family drive, and then here's our different folders. So we can click on this. We're going to hit copy, and then we're going to go back up here to this PC. We're going to right mouse click on here, and we're going to say map network drive. We're just going to paste that in there, and again we could name this whatever we want. We could actually name it F for family. Now sometimes some PCs, some people have a lot of drives in their computer and F might not be available, but in this case it's F, and that's why we're going to name it that, that's for the family drive. Accidentally hit browse again, and we can use the browse, click on this, hit OK. We'll do the same thing. We don't have to copy and paste, but it's just a quick way to do it. So now here we are connected to the file server, and again what we're going to doing is everyone's going to save to this file server. So all the files are in one place. So in a case like this where I talked about where maybe you have a desktop and then you have a laptop and you need access to both of those, when you have a file server, you save everything to the file server, and then all you need to do is save everything to a file server. Now laptop, that isn't always convenient because you're out and about with your laptop, and you're going to be saving a lot of files locally on your laptop. But my wife, what she does, she has a laptop and she has an office computer, and her laptop is hooked to the server while she's here, and she does a lot of work that she saves to the file server. So anyway, so now that we've got this here, I can click on Dad, and I can create, I can create a docs folder here. I can create a picture folder, whatever I want. But that's how you begin to organize this. What I've done with my kids is I've mapped a separate drive for them. So in other words, on their desktops, what I've done here, and we have 2 desktops for them to use. And so what I've done here is we'll go to user, whoops. on the wrong one. So we're on our file server here, family drive, and then kids. So what I've done here is I'll copy that, and then on their desktops, I'll go up here, go to this PC, and I'll map a network drive, and we can let's just say it's K for kids, and then we'll hit finish here. And so on their drive, and actually their drive letter is K. So now again, this is a fairly long network description. So let's just change this. Let's rename this. And actually, I'm just going to keep it as kids, because I know that this kids drive is the server, and so on their computers, they save everything to the kids directory under their folders. So, and again, you know, they might have a docs folder here. And we'll put a picture folder here. So on their computer, they would just have a K. They wouldn't have they wouldn't have an F folder for family. My wife and I on our computers, we have a drive where it gives us access to everything. And in here, again, they just click on K for kids. Now that doesn't mean they could never go in and access any of the folders in our directories. And this is the whole thing. This is all password-free file sharing, and this is why I say in the video this is the easiest way to file share. This particular video isn't showing you how to set up usernames and passwords. This is just an easy way. We don't have any username and passwords on our server, our file server. But we do keep it backed up offline in case something happens. I do have a media server where I have Plex on it, but it's on that media server I also keep my music. And so what I've been doing for years, instead of keeping all of my, because I actually have a lot of music, because I have a lot of CDs and then music that I bought and downloaded. But what I did is I've actually ripped all of my CDs, and so I have a huge library. And so for me, what I did on the file server, in fact, let's go back to the file server. So we're just going to hit here to remote desktop. We're going to go back to our D drive, which is where all of our family files are. On our other file server, which is a media server, what I've done here is I actually have call it media and folder music. Okay, so what I've done for my personal use is let's minimize this. Go to this desktop. So now let's just say this is my personal desktop here. What I do is I'm actually going to map, and here's my server here. Click on it, family drive, and here's the media server. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to copy this, and let's go back up to this PC, right mouse click, make a map drive. And I use the M drive here for music. Accidentally hit that browse again. So all of my music then gets saved in this music folder. So if I get a new computer, All I have to do is point to this drive, and there's all my music files. So I never save any. I don't save any videos or music or pictures on my local computers. They're all saved on a server. And so that's just how I happen to do mine, how I organize my music that I've acquired over the years. But you can do it any way you want. So that's really. I hope that wasn't too confusing. I just wanted to show the two different scenarios if you're going to share files between two different computers, or if you're going to have a file server, set up a file server, how you'd want to do that as well.
So I know that video was a little long because I wanted to show sharing files between just two different computers, or sharing files as if you had a file server. And if you haven't ever thought about a file server before, you can go watch my series on how to create this file server here. Also too, I am going to have a series on how to set up a Linux file server, all GUI, no command prompt. And then also I'm going to show how to set up a FreeNas or TrueNas server, which it is today. But I hope that was helpful on sharing files through Windows. That is one of the easiest ways to share your files. And also too, remember I was going back and forth between this file server and my desktop using Remote Desktop. Go ahead and catch that video if you want to learn how to do that. Be sure to subscribe and like and hit the bell notification so you get my other videos as they come out. Thank you for coming to the channel. Thanks for watching. This is Teach with Tech Made Easy. Have a great day. Thanks.
Now that was easy peasy.